You won't find Camp Crockett on any modern maps, and even if you knew where to look, you won't find it at Fort Gordon either. The soldiers who once trained here and the Quonset huts are all gone. All that's left are the concrete slabs.
And believe me, all we did with the first report was just opened a bunch of questions that we're simply having a lot of trouble getting answers to.
Lou Krieger is a veteran who wants everyone to know what happened in this remote place that also featured a mock-up of a Vietnamese village for training purposes.
This is one of the very few pictures outside of Camp Crockett of the Vietnam village.
Krieger says it may have been like Vietnam in more ways than one. A News 12 investigation uncovered something that may surprise you. While they were using Agent Orange to strip the jungles of Vietnam, they were testing it here. We obtained this map through the Freedom of Information Act. It shows where the government tested Agents Blue, Orange, and White in Augusta from January of 1967 through December of 1969. We found documents outlining how they used a helicopter to spray the chemicals on 98 acres in the southern tip of this sprawling army post, between Highway 221 on the west and the artillery range to the east. Krieger worries about those soldiers who trained at Camp Crockett.
Well, there are a lot of veterans out there that are, unfortunately, have been exposed to dioxin unknowingly.
And he showed us this picture. He says these soldiers are bathing in a stream near Camp Crockett in July of 1968.
This is right down from Lightner Lake, which is well within a 6 to 8 square mile area where there could have been possible misdrift from the spraying of the dioxins and the herbicides.
But it wasn't just Augusta where they did the testing. News 12 found documents outlining all the other places across the nation where the Department of Defense tested these so-called tactical herbicides, from Florida to Canada and California to New York. But Augusta stands out from all the others because of one man and what he did here. His name is James Cripps, and he's the first person to prove he was exposed to Agent Orange, not in Vietnam, but here in the continental United States.
At the time, I thought I was 7,000 miles away from Agent Orange.
Cripps was a game warden who did some spraying himself.
Along the sides of the roads, along the trails that the fishermen used, to the restrooms, picnic areas.
When we found him last year in Tennessee, he could still remember the lakes by name.
Little Beaver, Big Beaver, Little Smoke, Big Smoke, Lightner, Clay Pit.
There's no paper trail from what Cripps did. The Army will only admit to spraying in the test area. The same map shows where they took soil samples in 1994. The dots mark the spots. They say the area today is clean. Fort Gordon says the soil's been tested, the area's safe. Are you comfortable with that?
No, I'm not comfortable with those soil samples at all. Number one, you have to take into consideration that right here on this map is an approximate area where they tested.
Dr. Martha Terrace is chief of urology at GHSU and the VA.
The chemical that actually kills plants and is poisonous to people is dioxin.
She's seen case after case of cancer in veterans exposed to Agent Orange.
And more veterans are coming to me saying, oh, I never was in Vietnam, but I was asked to spray this stuff. I don't know what it was. It worries me now that I've come up with this cancer.
Dr. Terrace says dioxin gets in your body and stays there.
And causes changes in people's DNA that can result in different cancers, different types of disease processes that can occur 20, 30, 40 years later.
What about birth defects? Is that a concern?
That is a concern. With male veterans that were exposed to Agent Orange, the predominant birth defect that's seen is spina bifida, or defects of the spinal canal in their children.
James Cripps proved his case and has nothing to lose.
It's the deadliest poison known to man.
Meanwhile, Lou Krieger continues his own mission to spread the word about Agent Orange, to shine a spotlight on a remote part of Fort Gordon that's been long forgotten, and to speak up for veterans too afraid to speak for themselves.
The stories you get from the veterans, I wish more of them would talk, but the unfortunate thing is they're afraid that if they talk, they're going to lose their benefits, or if they apply for benefits, they're not going to get their benefits because of the way the VA works.